Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Shavonna Noble. If this is your first time tuning in, I am a first-year Caribbean medical student. I want to welcome you. So my channel is basically about my journey towards medical school and me sharing my faith in Christ and the lessons that I've learned as I go along on this journey as well. So today's message, I wanted to hop on and add to a previous message that I did a couple of weeks ago, which was about your friends are not your therapists. So I just wanted to do a recap and talk about the message that is today called You Need God in Therapy. So therapy is not all you need. So definitely, if you like my content and you want more of it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that share button. So this message came about because I realized how people can verbally hear you're depressed. And it doesn't just have to be in behavior, but they can hear you saying that you're depressed and still not care. However, them not responding to your depression does not mean they don't care. Maybe they don't know how to help, and maybe they don't know what the signs are either. So we have to give some grace to our family members, our friends and our family. So my situation, I feel like it was different, but because I was with actual medical students and at the time whom I thought could relate and provide guidance. So I wanted to add that I want to add into that other people have their own things going on. So even though I was looking for help, they probably weren't ready or in the right mindset to help me at that time either. So I told you about the incident where I was in this predicament and I felt alone because I thought they would hear me out. They listened to me, they changed the subject, and as if I said nothing. So people can be expressing signs of depression or saying they're depressed, but since people around them may not be as qualified to help or sensitive enough to be concerned about you, they end up either, number one, not acknowledging you, or number two, asking you why and to just get over it. So more than likely, people are looking at the external. So what they see around you gives them the impression that you shouldn't be. So, for example, for me, I'm a medical student. I live on an island. And what people see is a place that should bring me joy. They're like, oh, you're on the water. You have the ocean there. And I'm like, for me in that season at that time, that was not the case because I was adjusting to a new way of living when I've never lived on the water. So that didn't bring me peace. What brought me peace was I can go to the shop, I can go to the store, I can go to the mall, I can go to all these different places, or I can just get in my car and drive. Here, I didn't have that. So it didn't bring me peace how other people were like, girl, go relax your mind. You know, you can go to the water. I'm like, I don't want to do that. So it was a lot of different adjustments for me, and other people were ecstatic about me being a medical student. I wasn't. So when you finally start medical school, you realize the trauma of it all, okay, that you can't get out of it because now you're in debt. And then you're stuck with the studies of being in school for another 3-4 years. And it's like, okay, but I worked too hard to get here, so now I don't want to change my mind. So it's just the trauma of all of it, of being a medical student, that goes along with it. So like I said, you end up not being acknowledged, or people ask you why until you get over it. Or number three, they'll listen to you, but not give realistic tools. So they can be like, girl, go relax. And the problem I have with people telling me go relax is if I could, I would. So you act like I want to be like, I'm telling stress, come stress me out. Like I'm not trying to be stressed. It's the fact of, I don't know how to deal with this right now. And you can be talking to people that can't give you real solutions on things that are happening in your life currently because they're not qualified to. It helped me to realize why this had to come in play and why I need to say this message. So at that time, I realized I was in a situation of depression, which came about because I did have a therapist that was able to identify it. So I didn't know that there was a situational depression. And if I would have never went to a therapist, I wouldn't know that I was in one. And I just thought like I was in this depressed state that I was going to be in for a minute. I thought I was going to be stuck in depression and be in medical school because it looked like there was no end. So I feel like God restored me at that time because my hope and understanding my assignment, which helped me to embrace it and really like find the beauty in being a medical student again. And God like gave me a new perspective on what I'm doing as well because I was able to go back home during break, which got my mind back together. Like, why am I doing this again? And why am I here? So it helped me to deal with it better. So I would say check out my story on Your Friends Are Not Your Therapist so that you can get like a better view of it. And I'll put the link below as well. So in that message, I ended with girl, boy, woman, whoever you are, get a therapist. And I definitely gave you some tips and opinions on it as well as why you need one. So now today's message is therapy is not all you need God too. So the reason I say this is because I was going to therapy, but I noticed it didn't fill me. Like while I was going through my first year of medical school, even though I had like the struggle of not feeling as if God was with me, and like I said, I was praying. If you watch my older video, I was praying. I felt like nothing was happening. I was saying affirmations. I didn't feel a thing. And it didn't mean that God wasn't working things out either. It was just, I was put in a situation that I had to get used to now, and I had to learn how to adjust. And with so many changes happening that caused the depression, and not only that, on top of the changes that were happening in my life, now I'm in a new place, and I'll have to learn how to be a medical student at the same time, because it's not like you just know how to be a medical student. You don't know how to prepare for something until you're in it. That's when you actually do the thing. Like, it's not, oh, I'm preparing to be a medical student. No, when you get there, then you find out how you're going to adjust to be this student in real life. So all of that was going on. So I had to learn about how to adjust and how to pivot when things aren't going the way that I'm expecting them to. That's what I had to learn at that time of being a medical student, how to actually learn how to study. So I ended up at the end of the year, maybe in the fall, I ended up getting a therapist. So my therapist was not Christian either. Well, I don't know if she wasn't Christian because she really didn't say it, but that's what I was looking for. I was looking for a Christian therapist, and I listed that that's what I wanted. But and she didn't like promote herself as one. And some things I would say would be that you should really do is that you should find someone that reflects like your beliefs or your background. Because one thing I noticed is that my therapist could not like give me the word, like can't give me a word from God. She can't speak to my soul and give me peace about my future. So I feel like if someone believes the way you believe, you can better relate, so therapy could help with the healing process of the past issues, but it couldn't speak to my tomorrow or 5 months from now like God can. And this is why we go to church and we need a relationship with Christ. So I noticed all those gaps or the feeling of the therapy and like wondering like, hey, we're okay, I'm here to get help, but it's not feeling the way it needs to. So the voids can only be filled by God, and fasting would allow, and also I want to add in, the voids would be filled by God. Fasting allowed me to hear clearly because it quieted my soul. Prayer lets me communicate how I feel, and having a relationship with those who believe like I believe and being connected to the church are important factors that add to and help you get through depression like it helped me. So I fasted and I prayed, and I was able to hear God to bring peace in my situation at that time and my anxious heart. So I want to start with beginning of my medical. I started, my first point is I began in medical school in January 2022, and I end up dismissed in the same year. So my first year of medical school, I was stressed out because I was not doing well. I passed a few classes, but honestly, I did not know how to survive this new curriculum with 4 to 5 classes every 4 months. The thing with being a medical student is that people that never had to go this route, they don't know what it takes to get there. You got gap years, you got post-bac, you got master's programs, you have to volunteer. It's so much stuff that goes into being a doctor before you even become one. Like, you're not even there yet. And then even when you get there, you have to complete the degree in order to reap the benefits of it. It's not like, oh, if you fail out of medical school, like you're just going to go work in a hospital. Because I noticed some people who thought like, oh, well, you've been in medical school, and if it don't work out, you just go work in a hospital. I'm like, no, this is not that. It don't work like that. You are not just going to go work in a hospital. You're going to go right back to square one, because at the end of the day, you really do be feeling like medicine is a scam, because you have to complete the whole thing in order to get the benefits of actually being that MD. So the whole time with this going on, I was panicking. Like, I'm like, okay, so Lord, you brought me here to fail. So you brought me all this way, allow people to bless me to go to medical school, only for me not to be doing well in medical school. And then now I'm dismissed. So I started questioning God, like, what is this? And like I mentioned, in this moment, I knew therapy could not give me an answer, but I knew God could. So I was going to therapy, but that therapy couldn't help me when I found out I was dismissed from that program. I'm like, so do I go talk to my therapist? What can my therapist tell me? But I know God can give me an answer for 6 months from now, okay? So fasting and praying. Now, in November of 2022, I had to go on a fast because, like I said, that it was the first year was horrible, and I was definitely ready to find a whole new career. So I had to hear God before I just quit the whole thing. And I was stressing, like I said, because I was failing those exams. And the classes that I had that time were biochemistry, genetics, immunology. And I had biochemistry before, but genetics, immunology, I never had those classes. And I was not doing well in them either. And I had already dropped one in that same year, which was anatomy, which I had failed. And then I ended up taking it again. So you're only allowed so many classes that you can fail and drop and even have financial aid for. So I was like, okay, now what are we doing here? This is a lot going on. Is this going to be taken away from me? Am I still going to be a medical student by the end of this year? I don't know. So I was stressing, like I mentioned, because in my genetics class, I had failed both of my first two exams, but I knew that was an easy fix because I could drop it. So I was going the one day that all of this transpired. This is how it started. So my semester started in the fall, and I was taking these 3 classes. My genetics class, I had failed both of the exams. The first and the second. We have 4 exams in the semester. I had failed the first and the second. And then in my immunology class, I failed the first exam, but then I did well on the second. So then I had 2 more exams with that class. And I was actually going to see my immunology teacher, which is the class that I did well on the second exam. And I ended up running into the teacher for my genetics class, which was the class that I failed both exams, but I wasn't trying to drop it. And when I saw him, he was like, so what are your grades right now? Like, he just stopped me immediately. And I guess that was the Lord, like, and stop. He stopped me immediately. He was like, so what are your grades right now? And I was like, I don't know. And I looked him up, and he was like, yeah, well, you failed both of these. And he was like, you only have 2 more chances. And, the God in me was like, you're going to hold on. We're going to hold on to the Lord's unchanging hand. I'm going to stay in these classes. I'm not getting out. I don't want to hear any more words of you trying to get me up out of these classes. I have the faith that the Lord is going to bring me through. And he was like, Shivani, you need to get out your feelings. He was like, you need to get out your feelings because it's a number game. You don't need to stay in these classes if you've already failed the first 2. So he was like, do you want to have a long run or do you want to have a short run? And either way, it still ended up in me getting dismissed. But I ended up dropping that class because I went home to think about it. And I'm like, I can see how he was like, when he told me, like, yeah, my feelings, because he's like, if you're not catching the first half of this, and this final that's coming up will be cumulative over all the blocks that you're taking, why would you stay in the class? And I'm like, you're right. And a lot of us here, this is the thing, a lot of us here, we want to hurry up and get off the island. So we don't want to keep dropping classes. And then if you're dropping classes, that means you don't have that many options to retake them, which can stop you from getting your financial aid. So it's a lot of different factors that play into this. That's why people be like, oh, girl, you're going to do well. And we be over here like, but y'all don't see these facts that we looking at, that you can be kicked up out of this in no time. And then you're going to be starting all over again. So, yeah, he was like, well, you're going to have to get a 90% in order to get on both exams that are coming up in order to pass this class. So here, in order to pass the course, you have to have a 70, not a 69.8, not a 69.9, not even a 68. You can't have none of that. You have to have a 70% to pass this class or else it's going to be a fail. So I went home thinking about that day. But when I was going to immunology, like I said, I failed the first exam, but the second one I did well in. So I was planning on staying in that. And he really didn't say too much about that because he was like, you have 2 more chances. And if your grades are going up, then why would you get out of it? Because he even mentioned this too, which made me have the confidence to say in that immunology class, he was like, a future reflection of a student's grades is what they did in the past. So that's why he was like, why would you stay in this genetics class and failing? So I ended up getting out of that class, And with immunology, I'm like, why would I get out of it? Because I'm actually passing. So I ended up dropping that class. And like when I had first started that semester, I was going to get out of either genetics or immunology anyways, because I was like, if it starts looking crazy, I have to spare myself from getting dismissed from this program. So one of these will have to go, whichever one it is. But in the end, like during that semester, I mentioned that I had went on a fast. And during that fast was that God could tell me that I was going to make it. So every message that week confirmed that I was going to make it. And I can even go back and tell you the messages. And so this was in November that I had went on that fast. But in December, I stayed in immunology, but I ended up failing, and then I ended up getting dismissed. So I want to fast forward to the finals week, because in the finals week of before I even knew what my grades were, I was watching Bible study, and Pastor Darius Dales was on the week before my finals, and I did not want to watch it because I saw what that title was. And in that moment, when I seen that title, I knew, how God's like talking to you, because your stomach, like my stomach started turning, and I really started panicking, because like when God is talking to you. The message was calm down, and in his message, he was like, this is like a prophetic word, because some of y'all gonna need what I'm saying. And he was talking about how when things don't turn out the way you thought they was gonna turn out, and how do you react? And and I was like, Lord, please let me pass. The moment I heard that message, I was like, Lord, please let me pass, because I already felt that it wasn't going to end well. And the message had me uneasy until the grades came out. So when the grades came out, I found out that I had failed in immunology, and I had got dismissed from the program. But God was prepping me with that message to get my mind right and my words right before that struggle came of me wondering what to think about that experience. So when, like I mentioned, when I was finally on break and I received my grades, and like I said, I ended up getting dismissed, they informed me about an appeal, or I could be done with my medical school career altogether. And I decided to appeal, so that because I wasn't planning on going back to Las Vegas. That was it. So I decided to appeal because I worked too hard. So now what do you do in this instance? Because now I need a miracle. What's my therapist gonna do? They gonna come here and try to get me back in? I need a miracle, and I need God to intervene. So my therapist can't tell me nothing. The therapist can't tell me can't give me a sure answer that brings peace. So I'm looking here at a real life event that's happening, where I'm out of medical school, and all the thoughts of what I am going to do if this appeal doesn't work, and if they don't accept me back in. So I'm just all over the place. So I remembered that I had went on a fast, like I mentioned, in November. And like I said, that whole week, it was confirmed that you're going to make it. So I held on to that word that I was going to make it through. And if I did not attend Bible study that week either, or if I did not attend Bible study, I would not have the tools to fight the battle that was in front of me, because God let me know, like, I need to start speaking the right words. So therapy, it helps you fight the mental battle and the struggles sometimes within, and then the past issues, because at the end of the day, you still need the Lord to intervene. But what God does is he can help you with the present battle. So, I mean, therapy helps you with the battle, the mental struggles, all of that. But God helps you with the present battle and give you a strategy for, like, right now, like an on-time word to help you when a situation occurs in your life. Like it says, he's an ever-present help in your time of trouble. Like literally, he was present. Before I even got to the exam, he had already let me know what I need to start speaking when I got them grades. And so I had already knew what to say, and I need the Lord to move on my behalf. But it started with me speaking the right things, which led to my victory. And like, I remember in that Bible study, he was saying, tears don't move God, faith does. So I started saying, I'm going to get it back. And he was and that's literally what that message was. He was like, if it's something that you missed out on, or you didn't do, or it was an opportunity that you missed, you can declare right now, like, I'm going to get it back. And I started speaking like, I'm going to get it back. I'm going to get it back. This is only setting me up for greatness. This is only setting me up to get to where I'm supposed to be. And I'm going to do well on the next semester. This is only setting me up to be the best medical student that I can be. So if I didn't have that Bible study, and if I didn't do that fast, to let me know that I heard God, that I know that I heard God, and that he gave me peace to my soul, even though at that time when it was happening, even though I got that, so say for instance, even though I got that word in November that I was going to make it, and then all of a sudden December came and it was looking like, okay, now wait a minute, Lord, you gave me a word, and why is nothing looking like what you just gave me? Because he was letting me know prior to that you're still going to make it. I just had to follow through with that process and appeal that decision that they made, which let me know, like, and God's like, see, I told you it was going to make it. So I just had to hold on to the fact that God had already given me hope. He had already given me a word on what to do when problems arise in my life. And he had the Bible study to back it up before I even got them grades to let me know, like, this is what your solution is. You need to speak faith right now. You can't be getting crazy and start speaking anything, because it's going to be what you said. If you start saying anything like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to get in, I don't know if they're going to let me back in, that is going to be what you said. So literally what I said is what happened, because I was like, I'm going to get back in. I'm going to get it back. This is going to be the time where I'm going to do well and excel. This is only setting me up for greatness. And I mentioned, because in the appeal, you have to do like a whole little letter thing. You have to write it down, and then that you present it to the people that are on the committee. And I was like, probably not even gonna have to say anything. They're just gonna accept me back. Literally what I said is what happened. I went to the meeting, and right when I got on, they were like, hey, Shavonda, so we already looked over your application, and we decided unanimous vote that we're gonna go ahead and let you back in, and we'll see you on Monday. So in that moment, God had already given me the tools and already set it up. So this is why you need a relationship with Christ. Because if I did not have the word from God, not the word from my therapist, if I didn't have the word from God, and then the Bible, me going to Bible study to get the tools to speak the right things and to have the right mindset about this situation that was occurring in my life that didn't happen yet, but was about to happen. Because when you have a relationship with Christ and he loves you, he will tell you things before they even happen so that you can be prepared. So he was letting me know, and God was setting me up for success so that I can act accordingly, so that I can get it back. Because sometimes we set our own selves up. And because if I would have spoke the wrong words, and if I didn't believe, even though I felt in my soul, like, what are we doing? Because I could have easily, I was already a little bit discouraged, but I knew what I had heard, and I had to really hold on to that word to know that, okay, Lord, I believe you, and I believe that I'm going to get back in, even though my whole break, I was under stress. I was stressed out, like I'm not even a medical student right now. Other people thinking I'm a medical student. I ain't even in school right now. I'd have been dismissed. So I said all of that to say that therapy is not enough, because fasting gave me something to hold on to, like I mentioned, when that problem came. And God was able to speak to my future in November to let me know not only was I going to make it, but he spoke to years from now. He spoke to the fact that you gonna make it, like you gonna make it out of this medical degree. You are going to graduate. So that's one thing my therapist couldn't give me, but God gave it to me. So I just wanted to say that whole scenario let me know that I need God. I need a spiritual leader. I need a church home. I need friends that have a relationship with God. And with Christ, I need a therapist. But the therapist is not the only thing I need. I still need God too. So because, like I said, they can't speak to your soul the way God can, and God can speak to your tomorrow. So God was able to even give me wisdom on how to approach the situation that was happening in my life. And so that's why I just wanted to get on and talk about how, yes, we need therapy, but we need God too. And this testimony here represents how me going on a fast led me to the answers that I needed, led me to being able to have hope and hold on to the fact that I know that God did not bring me this far to let me fail, because he told me I was going to make it last month. Even though this situation does not reflect a making it situation, and I done got kicked out, I got back in, and now I'm excelling because of God. Because I listened to God, and I could have easily been like, I'm not going to do this appeal. And just think, I would have lost right then and there. So thank God I did do the appeal, because I saw it all the way through. And I just, you know what, in that moment, it was like, okay, let me just turn in this letter. Because sometimes we talk ourselves out of a blessing, and it's like, what if I didn't do the appeal? Then I would have been back at home, but I did the appeal and I got right back in. And now I'm doing well because of God's instruction. So, what I want to say, like, just like we put ourselves in a medical school to learn on our job to provide for ourselves, the same way we have to put ourselves in environments to hear God. This is why you have to go to church. This is why you need Bible study. This is why you need to be in prayer. This is why you need to worship. This is why you need all of that, because therapy is not just going to do it. God is going to bring the peace. So my next point is, that was a long little testimony, but you had to get the gist of it in order to hear it. What does having a relationship with God do for me that therapy can do? Number one, hearing from God brings me peace and confidence. And number two, it gives me joy because I have a word to hold on to, and it gives me hope for my future. So because of, if I have God's word, then it gives me joy, and he'll put it in your soul. Like, he'll give you an unction, a thought, or something, and you'll be able to hold on to it because it gives you peace. Like, you know that God just talked to you. So that's the only reason I wanted to get on today and talk about how you need God in therapy, and that I hope that this message encourages you to get therapy, but not only that, don't leave God out of it. So for me, this looked like what it was. It was the fact of God showing me, like, yeah, you in therapy, but don't forget that I'm the one that speaks. I'm a God that speaks. I can speak to your situation. So don't forget, just because you're in medical school and now you got your education, that don't forget me, because I'm the one that got you there. And you might need to go outside of what you've always known to do things a different way, because to some people, therapy is like, oh, I can't get that. It looks like it's some type of, like you look crazy, but in actuality, it's something to help you, because people that are not in our race, they've been getting therapy for years. It's us who have been stuck in the trauma of our problems. We've been carrying around trauma all our years because we didn't know that therapy is actually an aid to have a successful future. So now it's like we can't live our best lives because we are stuck in trauma, in a traumatic situation. Everywhere we go, we have the effects of trauma, which is in our body, basically. So I just wanted to get on today to say that, find a therapist. If you can, find a Christian therapist, somebody that goes with your beliefs. And not only that, like, if you can't find a Christian therapist, then just get what you can, because they will still have a resource for you, and they will still be able to help you with the information that they know, and just filter out and simply use God's word to filter out the advice that they may have given you or what you may have received during that session. So that's all I wanted to talk about today, because I had to get on and talk about it, because I've been hearing it too. I think, like, over the weeks, I've been hearing about how you need God in therapy, and God was like, I already gave you this word. So I had to get on and share that you do need God in therapy, and God let me know through that experience that I had that he was able to, by me fasting, I was still able to hear him for my right now. And he wants us all to be successful. He wants us all to do well, but we can't leave him out of the equation. And if we actually add him to it, we can get to places further. We'll be able to have wisdom in the situations that come up, and we'll be able to progress in life versus missing out on opportunities because we left him out. And then when we get there, then we want to add him in. So I just wanted to get on today and say that you need God and therapy. So get a therapist, and remember that God is the one that can speak to your soul. So I just hope that you guys have a great week, a great day, whatever the case is. When you get this, I hope that this helps you right where you are. And yeah, let's be great. All right. See you guys.